What is going on out there, peeps? All right, let me do a little bit of an update on the Iraqi dinar as well as cryptocurrencies. All right, we're going to talk about some, again, it's some videos that I made in the past talking about what might be going on with the Iraqi dinar, about them becoming part of a new currency basket. I mentioned that they might become, like the poor man's reserve dollar. This is something that I spoke about in the past. Well, as you know, we got our very own fairy dinar father, who's brought this video to my attention, as you guys could understand. And it does go along the lines of what I was talking about. We're going to touch bases on there so you guys could feel very comfortable about your investment in the Iraqi dinar. Also, I want to update a little bit about what's going on with cryptocurrencies. It's very exciting, as you guys are aware. You guys know that we have a money metals exchange. If you guys are considering about buying precious metals, give consideration to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is in the description. First-time buyers spend more than $100 and use promo code Pimpy, and you'll get a free ½ ounce of silver. Hope you guys are out there January the 6th. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, you'll meet me there. All right, you guys know I'm over here on Pimpy's Investment Chat on Facebook. We have our own group. Come join us over there. It's free to do so. If you have questions about, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investment, this is a good place to ask your questions. People are very knowledgeable there if I can't get to you myself. You guys know I got Twitter. Come join me there. And you guys know about LBRY. LBRY is just like YouTube without all the censoring, okay? All right, so quick update on cryptocurrencies. All right, here, let me just update this a little bit. What we're seeing, it's kind of funny because what they're doing is they start to climb and they take these little bitty dips and they go back down. They goes right back up again, and they take these little bitty dips and they go right back up again. So we started to see, it started to look like, because you can see it was at 969. It's starting to look like Ethereum is going to hit $1,000. Okay, and it started to look like Bitcoin was going to hit 35,000. I think also we're at that point that people are going to start selling off, trying to grab up some profits real quick. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, guess what else is moving up? Yep, XRP started to creep towards the 23-cent mark. Yeah, I told you it's going to creep up little by little, little by little. All right, so look at that. Ethereum, 21% gain on the day. That's a pretty good dang jump in money. That's the biggest one so far that I've seen. You also got to take a look at Stanky Chain. It's up 10%. Cardano's up 12%. All right, so these are the good performers for the day. Okay, even though this might be high, it's only up 1%. 21% is a good gain. All right, I just want to update you. It looks like Ethereum is probably going to hit $1,000, and it looks like Bitcoin might hit 35,000. People keep saying, how long do you think this is going to go for? It's hard to say. Most of these are artificially pumped. But having said that, I am talking to somebody who's extremely knowledgeable on different types of investments, and he said, I'm going to convince you that your ideology on cryptocurrency is misgiven. So we'll see if he can convince me otherwise. But again, I just wanted to point that out. In case you didn't notice, all of a sudden gold and silver stops moving in value over the weekend before you used to see it, and it closes down when the markets close down. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's not moving, so they are where they are, and they haven't moved. All right, I'll set this video by, again, our fairy dinar father. He said to bring this to my attention, because it does line up with what I was talking about when I said, look, I know there is we need to go into a new system. We know this is happening. There is a global currency reset happening, and it looks like they're creating a new currency basket. Yes. And I told you, I don't know what the hell is going on with the IQD, but there are banks all over the world making large moves on. And this has been going on for a year now on IQD. Why would they do that? What is going on? There's been a lot of currency swaps involved in them. And I'm not talking about the regular ones when you do trade. I'm talking about large amounts of them. Okay, so nonetheless, I want you to listen to what our friend here, Pal, says about a currency basket. And then I'm going to respond as we go along, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
But at a simpler level, we are at the final stages of a very big and long dollar bull market.
Yes.
I think the dollar may go up further, but it's long in the tooth now, this dollar rally, and it's been a problem for the world. It's sucked in all of the capital to the United States. It's been a problem for many countries. When the dollar turns, which it will do properly over the next couple of years, it changes the investment outlook, which has been the US over everything, and becomes everything over the US.
Okay, so this is good. Well, I mean, not good, actually. So look, what he's talking about is the power of the dollar. The US dollar is a strong dollar. Even Trump was saying it's too strong. He tried to figure out a way to weaken it. Now he's saying it's going to be happening over the next 2 years. Is that possible? Of course. I think it's actually happen quicker than that. And what he's saying is this: things that are up against the US dollar, obviously it's been on a very long bull run. It has. It has gotten very strong. It has. But it's going to start turning around, and you're going to see the US start to lose its power. Once that happens, when when the dollar falls against other items, those other items rise in value.
So you'll find a huge growth in emerging markets coming forwards over the next 10 years. If the dollar is weak or just not so strong, buying emerging markets and going to the beach is as good a strategy as you need for asset allocation anywhere. Don't forget, we're stuck in a world where there's no bond yields anymore. Credit doesn't work any longer because the Federal Reserve don't allow the pricing, and same with the ECB, the pricing of credit. So you're left with equity markets at all-time record valuations, or you can go and find markets that are cheaper, that have better demographics and less debt, which I find very interesting abroad. So those trends are there. The trend of technology overall, software eating the world, is a trend that's not going away either. And business model after business model is getting destroyed by software. Finance happens to be the big one right now. So a lot going on in the world. A very interesting 10 years ahead of us.
Yeah, okay, so let's run through these. So monetary policy, new monetary policy regimes, the dollar weakening, low yields, and the rise of technology. Let's touch on all of them, but first let's talk about the dollar. Now, you said that the dollar is in a secular decline, and I know in I know in your work you've discussed that the amount of dollars circulating in the world is not proportional to the U.S. percentage of GDP.
Before he gets into that, remember I told you eventually what's going to happen is the dollar's going to crash. And once that starts to happen, it loses its value. So if it loses its value against other currencies, what happens to the other currencies? They go up in value. It just makes sense.
That occupies the world GDP. Can you explain this differential? Why is it that the U.S. GDP is not, 80, 90% of global currency circulation, but the U.S. dollar is somewhere around there?
Yeah, so we have been in a secular bull market. I'm still not decided whether it's ended yet. But there's a problem, and the other central banks talk about this a lot. If you read any of their statements, is the US is 25% of world GDP. The US dollar accounts for 80% of all transactions on Earth. So either the US has to keep printing huge amounts of money, or everybody needs to create dollar credit through the euro-dollar funding markets, through the credit markets overall, or there's not enough dollars. So what happens is when you have these economic downturns, you often get a very strong dollar. And we saw that in March because there wasn't enough dollars in the system. So the world is struggling with this dollar system. The SWIFT payment system is the network which operates everybody's cross-border payments. That's a US thing. People are also geopolitically less comfortable. China, for example, is not so comfortable. Even Europe's less comfortable with it. So we've got this big issue where there's really not enough dollars for this whole global financial system to operate in. And it's hard for the US because it needs to run massive current account deficits and huge credit and keep injecting dollars into the market. That feels like that's going to change over time. And the IMF have talked about this, and others have as well. Mark Carney at the ECB, when he was there, is they're talking about maybe creating a basket of currencies to create a global currency.
Remember, I was talking about this. I don't know, back in the summertime, I was telling you guys, here's what I think is going to happen. We're going to see this happen. There's a new currency basket that's going to take place. I have a feeling Iraq is going to play a huge role in this. The Iraqi dinar. Then it kind of just went away. There was no more talk about it. Now, guess what? It's being talked about all over again. Do you understand that just having Iraq included in this basket of currency is going to cause the value to jump up big time? Just because. Listen to what he says about the currencies within a basket.
Where the dollar is part of that basket and its weighting will not be 80%. It probably won't be 25% either, but let's call it 45% of the basket. So the dollar's impact on world trade goes down. It's too hard for countries like South Africa, Brazil, etc., to deal with the dollar going up and down and it affecting their exports all the time. That needs to change.
A lot of the economy is ingrained deeply in the U.S. dollar. Oil is traded in dollar terms. Some currencies around the world are pegged to the dollar,
including the dinar.
How could the dollar evolve into a non sort of global default de facto currency? What could possibly take its place, Rao?
Well, what I think is take its place is there is nothing to take its place. But if you create a basket of currencies, this is what Facebook talked about with their LBRY idea, that the global regulators immediately said, no, don't do this because it's too powerful an idea, which was to create a basket, a trading basket. So let's say you're South Africa and I'm China. We can trade with each other using global currency that has dollars in it, it has RMB in it, it has another bunch of currencies. Now, if the dollar is in that basket, then its denominator is probably money supply of all of the currencies in it and not US dollars. So it becomes much more stable. Now, the US doesn't...
See, I was wondering why the US, China, Japan, Iraq were all pumping out large amounts of money. I have a feeling these are all the people that are going to be part of this SDR basket or whatever this new currency basket is. Okay?
Mind that because it stabilizes trade for the US too. As long as the US doesn't lose reserve status overall, this way it's kind of enshrined that it has, let's say, 45% of reserve status. So it's not too much and not too little.
When you're looking at monetary policy and global growth, the U.S. Federal Reserve is not the only central bank that has an accommodated monetary policy. Everybody seems to be on a race to the bottom. And so when you're looking at the differentials here, who has more of an accommodated policy, and where would you allocate your capital if you had to decide between domestic equities or foreign emerging equities?
Well, I mean, this is the big question. I mean, because it's a rolling process. Is the European stimulates, and then the UK stimulates, and then Japan stimulates, and then the US stimulates, and it moves around, which is why a lot of these currencies have actually been in quite a big range over time. They actually haven't moved a lot. And maybe that's the status quo. Maybe we're at the bottom end of the range and the dollar rallies a bit from here because maybe the Europeans have more to do right now. So it's not really clear where the opportunity lies. But let's assume for a second that we're not going to go into a dollar secular bear market or bull market. Maybe it's like Japan, where the currency trades in a sideways range for a long time. Well, if that stability is there, then emerging markets do extremely well because all they need is the dollar to stop going up and they start to outperform. And we've seen that recently as the dollar's weakened over the last 6 months, emerging markets have all risen.
Yeah, emerging markets, I know you like the EM space. Can you give us a rundown on how to invest in the EM space? Well, first of all, the EM space is very broad. It encompasses a lot of different regions, a lot of different jurisdictions. Do you have a preferred jurisdiction, first of all?
I do. I've constructed a framework of the world based around debt and demographics. So I put up a map of the world, took out every country with aging demographics, which is the whole Western world plus China. I then took out every country with high debts. And what you're left with really is a world around the Indian Ocean, with India at the center of it. Up as far north as Iran, which across as far as Morocco, and down as far as Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. These countries look nothing like the world that we live in the West. They are much cheaper. They have populations under the age of 30. They have all the natural resources that they need. They have the intellectual brain power, and they've been trading with each other for millennia. I call it the monsoon region because it's the monsoon trade winds that always grew those regions.
Okay, so what is he talking about? The area that he thinks is going to be a good spot. Where are we talking about again? So look, again, up here in the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, all these nations here, Saudi Arabia, especially if they can start building their infrastructure. Remember, everybody's talking about this Iraq being part of this Silk Road initiative. Okay, so he's talking about these countries here, going down this way, all around India, India Ocean, over here, Malaysia, Thailand, obviously the Philippines, and who else? Vietnam. All he said is you just need the dollar to go sideways and stop going up like it's doing. And you'll see the emerging markets countries, their currency go up in value. So what are we talking about? The Iraqi dinar and the Vietnam dong. I told you, you guys got to keep in mind. I know a lot of people are waiting for this big revalue or this the RI, which is a reinstatement. Okay. Is it going to happen? I don't know. It's always possible. But again, if not, you don't have to rely 100% on a reinstatement. Just hang tight, because as the dollar starts to turn and crash, and I think it's going to do a lot of crashing this year, to be quite honest with you. So as the dollar starts to lose its value, other currencies will rise up against it. And what he's saying is, what are people doing? They're turning to where the cheaper areas are. Who are the cheaper areas? Well, Iraq, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, all these places that we talk about, currencies to think about. It wasn't just the Vietnam dong. I told you the Thai baht was one I would consider. You know what I mean? The Malaysia money, Filipino money, all these right around here that make up a big part of the South China Sea. They're all benefiting from the trade war that happened with China. You go up in this way, I told you, look, Iraq's going to be the gateway to the Middle East. You're going to see a lot of trade start to happen up here. These are all emerging markets. They've all been beat down, war-torn for the most part. Not all of them. I'm talking about here in the Middle East. Over here, generally speaking, I should say, a lot of them have been beat up, beat down, all right? So they need to start, you're going to see them be part of this emerging markets. So, of course, obviously, if you have the currency is going to increase in value, okay? This is what this guy's talking about. This is what he's saying. Listen, the emerging markets, this is the people that are going to do good against the dollar. He's also talking about a new currency basket, and these currencies are going to be involved in these currency. What I liked about it is he said, it seems to me that some of these currencies that are going to be in a basket are regional or affect the region. And so if that's the case, then it makes sense that Iraq would be one of those currencies. He was also saying that these ones that appear to be hidden in that basket are ones that are, have increased the production or the printing of them. We know this. Remember, I was talking about how Russia, China, Japan, United States, and Iraq, why are these people printing money at neck-breaking speed? What the hell is going on? I can't put my finger on it, I said, but there's definitely something going on. Well, I'll talk about a level playing field. My guess is that they all have to print out the same amount of currencies, and they will all be part of the same new currency basket. Just being mentioned into this basket is going to add a lot of value to the IQD, period. Okay? So again, you don't have to rely on just an RI. There's going to be a revalue. There's no doubt about it. Now, it's going to be one big, huge one all at one time. I don't know. It's very possible. How if they get slapped into this new currency basket, you can expect a pretty good jump. Now, I don't want people going, well, where do you think that jump is? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. But definitely a lot higher than where it is. We know that, all right?
And India's really at the center of that. So I'm very bullish India over time. I think there's some huge structural changes in India, but the whole region, even the Middle East, we're seeing big changes.
If you look,
so yeah, I agree, you guys. That's as far. I will leave the links so you guys can come and hear the whole thing. This is Kitco. I love him. This is a great interview. This guy's talking about the emerging markets. He's also talking about this new currency basket. We spoke about this many times last spring and over the summertime. It just kind of faded away, but it looks like they're talking about it all over again. So again, good. This is what I'm talking about. This is good. I told you when I did a video, when I said, look, something's going on. I knew Iraq was trying to find a way in which it can pre-sell the oil before it's brought out of the ground, which would bring a lot of revenue to Iraq. This would be very good. Obviously, it would help the economy out tons. I did talk about before, there was a new currency, a new basket of currency being spoken about. And again, people go, well, the SDR. Well, I know about the SDR. And it might be part of the SDR, it might not. He's also saying that the US dollar most likely will not be 80% of the trade, more like it's going to be around 45%. So what does that do to the US dollar? It loses its value. It won't be as strong, but it won't be weak neither. It'll be more on a level playing field. You just don't want it to lose 100% of its reserve status, okay? But you don't mind that it takes a pretty good hit as far as values are concerned if you're holding on to foreign currencies or gold and silver for that matter, okay? So just hang tight, you guys. I'm telling you, something's bound to give. It's been building up and building up for so long, okay? Pre-selling the oil in the ground, being added to a currency basket. This helps those emerging markets, whose emerging markets over there in the Middle East, as well as over there where the Vietnam Dong is. This is good. This is what we want. Of course, you know, benefits from this as well, gold and silver. Because as the dollar loses its value, gold and silver tend to respond to that, okay? All right, you guys, anyways, I just want to give you a quick update, share this with you, and then, get your opinion on this. Let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so because we do help out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.